Hello and welcome to another episode of the Soundcheck podcast. Now, with this episode, you're obviously reading the title and you clicked on it because you have read the title and you thought, this is a piece of meat. But as we're recording this, we're sort of winging it. We don't really know what we're going to talk about. So we thought, just now, 30 seconds ago, why don't we talk about how we got to the taste that we are
now.
How we got to where we are now with musical tastes, as in what was the first record we bought / album or whatever, and the musical journey that we've gone on to get to where we are now, and maybe what has influenced that. So join us on this weaving basket of conversation.
Yes. From past to present.
Sorry, Shakespeare.
Oh.
From past to present. Wayne.
Chapter 1.
Chapter 1. The birth. How has it been born, Wayne? What was the first record that you bought?
The first record that I bought. I'm not sure. I think the first album that I bought myself with my own pocket money was Flogging a Dead Horse by the Sex Pistols.
Flogging a Dead Horse.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first song you remember? I have a distinct memory of being very young and having the memory of an earworm. So a song that gets stuck in your head.
Oh, right. Okay.
So mine was being at I don't know what it was some sort of street parade in Sheffield under the wicker arches. If you're from Sheffield and know what the wicker arches are, they're not really arches made of wicker, it's just called wicker.
I don't think they're there now, are they?
There are arches there, yeah.
It's just still there. I thought they got knocked down.
But there was a parade and the Beatles weren't playing, but they were on a tannoy somewhere, Hard Day's Night. And I remember having the Hard Day's Night in my head for ages. And that was the first song I remember remembering.
How old would you be then?
Oh, maybe 4?
Really?
Yeah, very young. Yeah.
You've got a good memory then, haven't you?
Well, I don't know if I do. I actually have a poor memory. It's just I remember things that aren't important, like the first earworm.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And the other one after that would be when I'm about 7, and it was Eric Clapton's Bad Love, because I really liked the guitar sounded, and I tried to replicate it with my mouth a lot.
Yeah. The first song, I don't know if this is true or not, but as of now, the first song I can ever remember hearing, I don't know how old I'd be. I mean, I'd be fairly young. I don't know if my sister were born, and I'm 4 years older than her, so I'd probably be round the 4-year-old to 6-year-old mark, and I can remember my dad playing Animals. God, I forgot the name of the track.
House at Rising Sun.
House at Rising Sun. And I think that's the first track I can remember ever hearing.
Right.
And I'd probably, if my sister wasn't born, I'd be 4. But if she was, I would be round about the 4 to 6-year-old mark. I think that's what I can remember. And it'd be House at Rising Sun.
It's a good song.
Yeah, it's a great song. But my dad were a massive Animals fan. I grew up listening to. He used to put Animals on all the time, and Stones. You're a big fan of Animals and Stones. But I think the first track that I can remember I'd probably put money on it being House at Rising Sun.
Right.
If my dad went in, it would have been something like Copacabana by
Of the Cobra.
Oh, what they call him?
I've just Kermit, the human Kermit the Frog.
Barry Manilow.
Barry Manilow. If my mother would have put something like that on.
Right. Big bad Barry Manilow.
We're going back to that old subject of mine of not remembering. I don't know. There's a certain period where I was becoming very aware of music, and it was mainly the Faces, Rod Stewart and the Faces. Around that period, I think I bought a couple of albums. Nods as Good as a Wink to a Blind Horse. That was a Rod Stewart album, I believe. And then there was a like a compilation album that came out, and it called Smiler, and it was in the shape of a whiskey glass.
Oh, and you can see his face at the back of it.
Yeah, a distorted image of Rod Stewart at the back, and the obligatory tartan.
Mm.
And
what is the tartan about? Is he actually from like Scotland?
No, he's a Londoner.
So what's the tartan about then?
His dad was Scottish.
Oh, it's a tenuous link, isn't it?
Yeah, well, just kept it up all his life, so he obviously felt a lot about it. His mother was English, his father was Scottish.
Right.
Can I just tell you a quick story?
So therefore, he had a lot of. It was quite a tight-knit family.
That'll be a no, Wayne.
And what's sorry?
I'll just tell you a quick story about Rod Stewart.
Go on then.
So my dad's best mate were a roofer, and he used to do roofing over in England, and he thought to himself, "Oh, I'm going to go out." So he went over to America to become a roofer, and his first job was doing a house in the bottom of Rod Stewart's garden.
All right. So
And
like an annex thing.
Yes, and he did that much of a good job on it that Rod Stewart gave it him, and he lives in bottom of Rod Stewart's garden. And I think
He's actually a gnome.
I think to this day he still lives in bottom of Rod Stewart's garden. In, is it L.A.?
Rod
San
Stewart.
Francisco, I think L.A., isn't it? When he first went over there, he used to go, because Rod Stewart's got a football pitch in his garden.
Yeah.
He used to play football with him, just him and Rod Stewart playing football on pitch in their garden, because he lived in bottom of it.
That's pretty nice.
And that
isn't it?
one of my dad's best mates, and he's from Barnsley. I'm trying to think of the guy's name.
Rod Stewart.
Called something like Nobby. I think he
From
was
Slade.
I think he was called. I think he was actually called Nobby.
No, it wasn't Chris and Nobby.
No, he won't. But I only know him as Nobby. My dad's only ever spoke about him as Nobby Roofer.
Nobby Roofer.
Yeah, as they do from Barnsley. Nobby Roofer.
Nobbit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
He there was a thing a couple of years back on the news where some vandals had broken into a sports hall and destroyed a lot of model railway kits. Like there was meant to be a convention for model railway kits, and they destroyed like £20,000 worth of lifetimes of model making or whatever like that. And Rod Stewart is a massive model railway maker, and he donated money to help rebuild them. He gave them like
Which is very un-Rod Stewart.
Well, given what the rumours are that it's very tight. But I think everyone, like everyone's got a rumour that it's very tight. I've heard a rumour, I think it's from you, that Rod Stewart was once charged at a petrol station. He bought a pint of milk, and he filled his car up, and he bought a pint of milk. But he drove away about 2.5 miles down the road, and then realised, saw a receipt that he'd been charged for 2 pints of milk, and went back to get the money back. I think that's just like pub talk.
That
He's so
like
tight. I heard his love squeaks.
I think that probably actually came from Ronnie Wood.
Wow.
Is that tight? He only breathes
a lot
out.
of the cheap stories. it's one of them rock and roll stories that Paul McCartney and Rod Stewart have got zips on the pockets.
No, see, you hear that George Harrison's supposed to be super tight. I think essentially it's what people say in pubs who are bitter. So he's so tight.
No,
he's not giving me a penny.
Because these things,
He never,
like I said,
he never comes in lying and puts a
a lot of these stories.
How do your mates know in the pub how tight Rod Stewart is?
No, a lot of these stories and his tightness come from Ronnie Wood and his bandmates.
That's why it's Ronnie Wood going around spreading vicious rumours about how
I can't believe that Rod Stewart's never been down to Lion and put £100 behind bar.
What an arsehole.
No, I can't
Unbelievable.
Not got one free packet of nuts from him. No pot scratchings.
So what else do we know about Rod Stewart?
He had a good voice.
He had a good voice.
He had a good band.
He did have, or he has.
And now he doesn't.
He's in his. What is he in his 70s now?
I think he went downhill. When he did. Do you think I'm sexy?
Oh well, now that song, I think.
What was all that about?
So his argument was that he was trying to like not speak in like
There's no
first
argument
person.
to that.
It's a great song.
Really?
It's a good song.
It was pushed into that one from different areas. His current girlfriend at the time was Britt Eklund, and she was saying, "No, you should go down this particular avenue. You should do this. You do."
What should
and
do
he betrayed himself for the sex image.
Yeah, but it worked though. It was a very successful song, and it's very catchy, and it's still like the further you get away from it in time,
the better you are.
The more comfortable you are with saying, actually, you know what, that's a good song.
No, it's
but
not.
if you listen to it when it came out, you're like, well, how dare he? He was the faces. And now look at him, the shame.
Just look at him in those skin-tight leather pants.
Stop wiggling your buttocks at my camera screen.
Yeah.
And the bloke who co-wrote it, I don't suppose he's complaining either. Who's an obscure bloke who lives in America.
Wow.
Well, it's not obscure, actually. I think he's a writer.
It wasn't him that lived in Bottom Garden.
No, it wasn't
him.
who lived
From
Bottom
Barnsley.
Garden, no.
You know, Mike Tyson's got a friend from Barnsley.
Donny.
It's Doncaster.
Yeah,
With a
Doncaster.
pigeon guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And apparently he visits him regularly.
Yeah, they're good mates.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is because Mike Tyson's
Well,
a
the
big
pigeon
is a big pigeon
visits him
racer.
regular.
Yeah, the pigeons fly over to Mike Tyson regular,
Sending notes.
dropping notes off. No, apparently Tyson comes over regular to Doncaster and visits his very, very good friend.
The pigeon fancier.
The pigeon is something to do. Does he raise pigeons or does he breed them?
He
Something
likes
like
to
that,
race
doesn't he?
them.
Yeah.
And stuff. He just loves pigeons.
He's also got a very successful weed business.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's legal like in
Well,
Vegas now.
he's a massive advocate for marijuana and mushrooms, and there's a thing that's happened at the moment, especially in America, but it's happening in the UK as well, where
It's just happening in Germany, isn't it? Or is it happening in Germany?
Well, marijuana, I'm not sure on, but mushrooms and psychedelics, there's a lot of testing going on so the things that you get from mushrooms is psilocybin.
I've just had mushrooms for my tea. Will I be all right?
Well, as long as the button. Psilocybin, right? And
I think they were
Nixon
chestnuts.
in the 70s put a big ban on them because it interfered with his campaign, blah, blah, blah. And it castrated a lot of research. And apparently psilocybin has some tremendous impacts with depression, anxiety, trauma, all sorts of stuff. And anyway, it's making a comeback and it's proven to be super beneficial. And if the government lets it go out, they'll be able to tax on it, especially marijuana, and they'll make all the money back from what they've done from banning cigarettes. Yeah. Slightly off topic of music, but
Yes.
we got there.
We did.
Psilocybin.
eventually. But just a quick one on Tyson. There were a photo of Tyson on social media one day this week, and they showed you a picture of him on weighing scales in 96, 98, I think it was, when he was youngish heavyweight champion of the world. And they showed you a picture of November of last year, which would be 2022, and is more cut now and bigger than what he was back in 90s.
It's probably steroids, isn't it?
And now he's 63. Well, no, he's back training boxing. Is he?
Well, he went back to
is he
training
60?
because he was going to fight
Well,
some celebrity.
he did-
one of these celebrity boxing
Yeah, he
matches.
did that fight, didn't he, and won.
And then they got another one.
But the
that
guy
were called off.
is, for his age, he's unbelievable.
But he goes to extremes like he will only drink warm water because if you drink cold water, it solidifies fat. So if you drink warm water, it doesn't solidify fat in your body and all sorts of stuff like that.
Does
It
coffee
takes-
count the same?
No.
Well, I think the thing is with coffee, I think that you end up retaining water.
I mean, to look at him now, you think, jeez, I won't go out saying bus as him. The guy is incredible.
I don't think he catches the bus, so I think you're all right.
I think he runs.
He runs.
But the guy is incredible.
Yeah.
His
It's actually
physique-
what you've got. The
his
thing you've got to
physique
remember is that he's
unbelievable.
trained as an athlete
guy
since
is-
he was very young,
Yeah.
and he doesn't know how to stop.
Well, he's had a very aggressive training pattern as a young
Yeah,
child.
and he don't know any other way.
pushed
I
into
think he's
drugs.
been fighting since he was 6.
He's had a very difficult upbringing, but he's actually very smart. He knows a lot about history. He's fascinated about historical wars and leaders and stuff like that. He's very
think he-
good at abstract.
Do you think he's got on music?
Should we have him in here?
Perhaps we should get him.
You know, strange enough, if he asked him, he'd probably be the top logo say, yeah.
But he'd bring his mushrooms and
Probably
marijuana,
would, yeah.
and you've got your button mushrooms.
And I've got chestnut mushrooms. The chestnut mushrooms are my best.
They're nice.
They are.
Good source of vitamin D.
Oh, absolutely.
Lovely.
I don't think about that when I'm eating my chestnut mushrooms.
Nice.
Let's get back to music.
music.
And on that subject,
So, remember?
we was waiting for you to go to your
Memory
song
of a
and
song.
album.
You left a gap and we filled it with Tyson.
Yeah.
sorry, yeah.
To give you a chance
You
to
could see an
think.
obvious
You obviously
a blank
didn't.
look on my face, so you thought, I'll have to fill that. Right, me first single, I don't really remember, but there was a lot of bits and pieces that I were picking up at the time. There used to be a stall in the local market, and they'd have jukebox tracks, 45 singles in there, and they'd have loads of different weird stuff. And I used to buy lots of these because they were cheap. So everybody did the same. So you'd buy all these things with the centre punched out, and you buy the little plastic thing, the iconic little symbol that you see everywhere. It's probably got a name, but I don't know what it is. So you'd buy these singles of bands that you knew, and you'd end up with a collection of all these little singles with all punched out at centre. And I'm guessing they were my first records that I bought. The first album I bought, I think, it was probably a Rod Stewart or the Faces albums.
You did sneak off to see the Faces when you were 14 in Leeds, didn't you?
Well, I did, yeah.
And Leeds is what?
It wasn't approved.
30
They
miles
didn't
away?
know.
Yeah, it's about 45-minute drive, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, we caught the train. Yeah, it was. What we did was we knew they were playing in Leeds, at Leeds, Queen's Hall in Leeds. So we went to Sheffield, a local town, a city, early one morning and got in a very, very long queue. It's a lot different to what it is now. We got in a very, very long queue, and it was still dark at the time. And we queued up outside this shop and bought tickets to go to a gig in another town that was another 45 miles away. A couple of weeks later, so we went on the train, and I told my parents that I was going to stop at a friend's, and my friend told his parents that he was stopping at ours, and off we sneaked to this concert. And we went and saw the Faces. I'm not going to call them Rod Stewart and the Faces, because he don't even approve of that. It's the Faces. And it was great. I got nearly kicked out twice because I kept climbing the gantries for the light towers, and the bouncers didn't like that. Ronnie Wood broke 2 strings, and it was great. They were kicking footballs out, and they were singing out songs that I knew, and I couldn't believe that I was actually seeing, at that time, my heroes. Yeah, they were, and going back to school with all these stories about where I've been and what I've been doing.
I bet that was pretty special.
Oh, I was a hero. I was the hero then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one up on everybody else. But it was.
And how much did it cost you to go and see the Faces?
I've no idea.
Oh, good price.
I have no idea. It probably wouldn't have been much though. It probably.
Sack of potatoes and a carrot.
A bag of coal.
I don't even remember what the train cost us. It wouldn't have been much though. If this was 1971, 1971. It would probably have been about. I have no idea what the ticket was.
No.
I wish I'd still got it.
Wow.
I really wish I'd still got the ticket.
Would it have so would it have been more than a couple of quid?
No, it'd been less than that. I would imagine. It
Probably been less than £1, wouldn't it? Actually,
I would imagine it would have been about
between 50 and 70 pence ish.
But back then, you could have had a 2-week holiday in Skegness.
No,
I'd have rather gone to a gig.
It's no good guessing what it was because I don't know. But where I got the money from, I don't know. I probably saved it up secretly.
School dinner money.
Probably, and the train fare. I remember going to Leeds Station, and we were in Leeds Station, and we were. I think it was quite cold, so we're buying hot chocolate and drinking hot chocolate in the railway station, waiting for our train to go back towards Sheffield. Yeah, a lot of it is blank, but the main part about the evening was actually going into Queen's Hall in Leeds, getting pushed about by bouncers and watching the gig, because that was all I wanted to see.
And our old
14.
14. I'm just trying to think of my first gig.
And I didn't tell my parents till years later. Well, it came out years later that that's what we'd done. Because my sister went at the same time with her friend, but she's 18 months older than me.
Did she know that you were there? Did you travel up with her?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, we
right.
all travelled up together.
Okay.
But you don't hang about with your elder sister, do you?
No, I suppose no.
You know, you make your own path, don't you? But you're sort of like, right, we'll see you back at railway station.
I mean, that as a first gig is pretty envious for me, anyway. I think.
Well,
the early Faces, nice.
Yeah, it were good because it was. Now I've got to be careful here because I'll probably get proved wrong by somebody, because I'm not sure whether Ronnie Lane had left and it was Tetsuya Yamauchi on bass from Family, but I don't. My focus of attention was not on the bass player. It was on Rod Stewart, Ronnie Wood, Ian McLagan, Kenny Jones. I've got no distinct memory of whether it was Ronnie Lane or not.
Do you not remember Keith Richards walking on to accompany Ronnie Wood on the guitar?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
No, I don't.
It would have been good if he was there. Imagine it if he was there, you just can't remember him.
It could have been there.
He just walked on with his leopard print jacket.
In fact, no, hold on. If memory serves,
Because he did tour with them for a bit, didn't he?
well, yeah, they all sort of intermingled with each other a lot more than they do now, I think.
Yeah. A smaller world, wasn't it, back then? And they all sort of went to the same places because they'd hang out in clubs that you'd have to pay a bit more for. Most people wouldn't go there because they have to pay more for it, and like exclusive bars. And
I think you were a bit more chummier then, weren't it?
Smaller world. The music scene was smaller.
Yeah, it became, when they got older, it became bigger, I suppose, and less accessible. I mean, it wasn't long after that Rod Stewart became "If You Think I'm Sexy," "Wriggle Your Ass Around," and it became.
I don't remember that song.
You do.
Wriggle your arse around.
And
Yeah.
Is that a B-side?
How does that go?
And that is when he stopped becoming.
Yeah, let himself down, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, he went in a different direction, and they all went in different directions. And Ronnie Wood went to Stones. Ronnie Lane left. Unfortunately, he was ill anyway. Kenny Jones ended up playing drums for the Who, and Ian McLagan. He became pretty much a session player, playing for anybody and everybody. Did a lot of stuff in America. But yeah, they were my band back when I was 14, and then it became Thin Lizzy. Thin Lizzy were my band.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah, it went a bit heavier.
So your music from yesteryear to present day has not really much changed, has it?
Oh,
It's been on a scale.
I'm not going to agree with that.
No,
I'm not going to agree with that. I'm going to accept that I still like the people that I
that's what I
originally
mean.
liked.
Yeah. So from
But
like yesteryear,
my
you still.
my look on music has gone from as far as you can see left as far as you can see right.
No,
I mean, you really enjoy Rufus Wainwright's cover of George. No, you really enjoy George Michael's cover of Rufus Wainwright's Going to a Town, and that couldn't be further apart from the
Can't get
Faces.
any different.
I meant like the stuff that you listened to then, you still listen to now.
The style of music.
Yeah.
Oh, you're never gonna stop liking who you like. It morphs into different aspects of that field. But the songs, because a lot of music is.
See, mine's gone from one end to other end, and I don't listen to what I was brought up on. I don't.
That's
listen
strange.
to
That's
stuff.
unusual. That.
Yeah, I don't
Because
listen to that.
a lot of music is based on memory.
Yeah.
It's based on emotions. So, like when
you know my music journey, and
what you looked at when you were young,
now.
or what you liked when you were young, it will stick with you because it has nostalgic memories about it.
It's cultural surroundings as well, like who you are influenced by when you were younger, and as you're getting older, that determines sometimes what you are going to be exposed to and listen to. And I think with time, your tastes may go left and right, and they may stereo spread, so to speak. You have a bigger fishing net to catch good fish. So when I mentioned Rufus Wainwright, that's a world apart from the Faces. But Rufus is a fantastic songwriter, and he sometimes does his excellent little songs, and it's being able to hear good music and appreciate it, like a craftsmanship, as you can still hear it in the Faces. Like, there's a difference between Steps and...
Why did we all snigger then?
because that's a joke. Obviously, Steps are fantastic. So there's a difference between Steps and the Faces or whoever. There's a credibility.
Black Sabbath.
Even Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath they're not my thing. But there are songs
there.
It's like
between Steps and Black Sabbath.
Well,
can you imagine Ozzy singing Footsteps?
The thing is, it's four guys walking into a room and not having anything, and then a few hours later they've got a song, and there's a lot of respect for that. It's from smacking a lump of marble, and once you've done, you've got David. It's building something from nothing, and that's a respect thing. And if it happens to be really good, then you've landed on your feet. But with regards to Steps, they've been given something. Sing this, dance that. I don't know. I can't really respect that.
Yeah.
That's not going to stand the test of time.
No, it's not.
So
it hasn't.
So you need to have raw materials, and you need to have a bunch of people smacking away at it until something
Although
comes
I
out
say it
pretty.
hasn't. Didn't they last year? Didn't Steps do a some type of a gig at the wildlife park at Donny, and it was absolutely rammed.
Yeah, a lot of people like it for nostalgia, don't they? The pop stuff,
Yeah, but it's like they always do an 80s party at the local country house, don't they?
Yeah,
And it always gets really, really busy.
Yeah.
Because, like Louis just said, people like nostalgia. People like that trip back to when they were younger.
Yesteryear, yeah.
And the songs of their youth.
Yeah.
And we all like that, don't we? Are we going to pay 50 quid to do it? I don't think so.
Yeah.
But, but a lot of people do.
See, the stuff that I listen to, I haven't got any on my playlists of today's playlist. I don't listen to any of my old.
Have you got any of your youth?
No.
Well, actually, you did mention in another podcast earlier, Beautiful South.
Yeah, I do.
You still like Beautiful South?
Yeah, I do. I do like Beautiful South, and I probably will always like Beautiful South. But I don't have any of their stuff. Although I've got everything they've ever done on cassette, CD, DVD, CD. I've got everything by them. I don't have any of their tracks on my playlist today.
Right. So they're in your little pocket for when you want to go down.
Well, that's a big
nostalgia
statement,
lane.
considering you got about 10,000 tracks on there.
Yeah, it is. I've not got one Beautiful South track. And the stuff I listened to before that, I don't think I've got any of their stuff left. I definitely have not got anything on my playlists. I don't think, I mean, unless they're up in attic, but I can't remember seeing them. Any of my albums that I had on my track, and that were all like Clash, Stiff Little Fingers, Sex Pistols. I used to like alt punk stuff, all that. Don't think I've got any of that.
I could never get on with Clash.
And I didn't mind a bit of Clash. I thought they were all right.
I had serious issues with them.
Yeah, and then you
Clash
you
with
know,
you, did they?
you got
Did they clash with you?
Yeah, the Clash with me.
Damned, and I listened to all that.
I didn't mind a bit of punk. Not a lot, but I didn't mind a bit of punk. I was still in my Thin Lizzy period.
But now
I
don't.
could not understand Clash.
I think
I don't see people. I tell you what bugs me now. You get people. Well, it don't bug me. I look at it in a bemusement, really. When people wear T-shirts saying Clash all over the front, they wear it now as a fashion statement rather than the musical statement.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And I find that really weird.
Yeah, you get a lot of people wearing like Kiss T-shirts and stuff, but like they're wearing it because it's a famous logo that's associated with it.
But if you play them a Clash number, they won't know it.
It's true, and like an uncomfortable percentage of me wants to say you're an asshole. I can't stand you, folk. But then again, that is musical gatekeeping. It's snobbery at its finest.
Well, I wonder where you get that from.
Well,
I think there's a saying. I think it goes something like father like son, something like that.
The acorns don't fall from
like Führer, like son.
Yeah, it's just that's just a
No,
stubborn
I think we're
dog,
all
by the
guilty
way.
of that.
Of course,
We're all guilty. Of that.
Everybody is. Everybody is, and anybody who says they're not, I think, are lying.
They're kidding themselves.
Yeah, they
Kidding
are.
themselves.
Yeah, everybody does that.
We're all snobbish about us music. We're all gatekeepers. We're all
But it's healthy to try
trying
not
to
to, isn't
protect it in some way. We're trying to protect our aspect of it, and there's no wrong with that.
No.
What is it we're trying to protect?
It's integrity.
Is it trying to protect?
It's integrity. To you, the integrity of that music to you is very special.
Right,
It's
yeah.
important.
Yeah,
To belittle it
possibly.
You don't want it to be
is worth
cheapened.
an argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, because to belittle that is actually belittling you in a way.
Yes,
isn't
it is,
It's
because-
part of you.
Yeah,
You
'cause
grew up
This
with
is how
that.
I believe. This is what I stand for. This is what I understand.
Yeah,
and
this is what
no, you're wrong.
This is what I did
I'm
when
afraid I'm not.
This is what I did when I was, I don't know, age of 8 to 14-year-old. I bought all these albums, and for me to say, "Well, you're an idiot. Why did you buy?"
Yeah.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Wait
no,
a minute,
No,
Yeah.
no, they're not shy.
Yeah.
No, and I think it's you start and take it a little bit personal, although it's not meant personal.
Yeah.
To have a dig of your heroes of yesteryear
Well,
is
they're like-
actually to have a dig of you saying that you was wrong.
They're like internal tattoos, though, aren't they?
Yeah,
Like these
yeah.
bands that you associate with it. Like they have a lot of sculpting to do with your adolescent youth and the way that you frame your mind growing up and the way that you view the world. Primarily, like some of these bands can really like change the way that you think and view certain aspects of culture. For me personally, like you can learn so much from music and lyrics as much as you can reading books.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like I said,
In an abstract form, yeah, you can, because it is pretty much an abstract form, isn't it?
Depending on obviously what type of music you listen to. If you listen
Well,
to
going back to
Scooter,
Steps again, I think
tragedy,
tragedy. It's been a tragedy.
5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, that's math right there.
yeah,
A
absolutely.
rootin' tootin' baby, my bird. I can't remember the rest because it's so Shakespearean.
Somebody knows
But I know
all
there
the
was
tracks though.
5, 6, 7, 8.
I don't even know what songs you're singing.
But
I
they
don't-
didn't know
I've
1
never
to
heard
4,
of these
though.
tracks. Who are these people?
Who are you?
No, but going back to what we said in previous podcasts, Beautiful South. I followed these. Well, I followed them when they were House Martins. I went to see when they were House Martins, and I've watched them. I don't know. I don't know. It's got to be going 8, 9, maybe 10 times. I've seen them. I followed them all over South Yorkshire when I was young. I used to go and watch them all over.
And when did they put the
Same-
restraining order in?
Same tour.
On the same tour?
Probably same tour, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I watched them all over the place. I've been to Leeds, been to Hull, Nottingham, Sheffield on numerous occasions, Donny. I've just
So Yorkshire.
brilliant, yeah.
Have you seen them outside of Yorkshire?
Nottingham,
Oh,
Hull,
how was the nosebleed?
Leeds. Took me about 3 days to go over. Yeah. So when there was, locally in the area on the tour, the same tour I might have gone to say. I think I did it once. I went to the tour one of the tours that they did. It was the last tour that they did when they split up, and I went to all Leeds and then Sheffield all on the same tour.
Right.
And I watched the very last one of Beautiful South at Sheffield Arena. And it went on for about 3 hours. They had to drag them off the stage because they didn't want to go. Because they're all, although they're all from Hull, they're all Sheffield United fans. So they were singing out Sheffield fans. They've got all
there's
beach balls.
There's a lot of football
there.
links, isn't there?
Yeah, they got all blow up, palm trees. And it was just one big pot. It was the concert itself was absolutely fantastic. Brilliant.
Where did the love of Michael Jackson come?
My dad.
Yeah?
Basically, yeah, he was a big Jackson 5 fan.
Yeah, but that's solid pop though. Like you can't really
because
avoid Michael Jackson.
I say that because Beautiful South is totally different to Michael Jackson.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Michael Jackson in his time was an unavoidable force.
Yeah,
that's
Like,
his story. That's what I'm saying. What was his story?
I first discovered. Well, I didn't discover Michael Jackson as in such.
Did you
but-
not?
No, I just missed out on him by about a week.
Oh, right, okay.
But my dad was a big Jackson 5 fan, so he used to play Jacksons constantly, and as and I got these. Yeah, it was all right. These I quite like these. These are good. Blah, blah. And then they all split up, and then this young lad went on his own, and he's from Jackson 5. So that's
Jermaine
who-
Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's him who my dad listens to. He's gone on his own now. So I just really followed him then out of curiosity, Kill the Cat. Where were he going to go? Because he'd just left this monster, massive band. And how were he going to cope on his own? Although he was the lead, the big figure in the band, would he cope on his own? Could he do it on his own?
Well, he failed miserably, didn't he?
Yeah. It was such a letdown.
Yeah.
What a mistake it was leaving that band.
Hence the song "Bad."
Yes.
Yeah.
So it were almost that. It were more curiosity killed the cat. As in, I wonder if he'll be able to do it on his own without his others. Without all rest of them there, will he be able? Will they be as good? Will he have as big as following as him on his own as what Jackson's did? As it turned out, he didn't do a bad job, did he?
See, I find that a bit fascinating because I'm only ever aware of Michael Jackson just being Michael Jackson and big. I mean, I know about Jackson 5 and all that sort of stuff, and I know how his career worked out and stuff. However, my primal memory is there's just like, you don't get these anymore. Like, you don't get stars like that anymore. Like, painfully huge stars
No, you don't.
that are just beyond belief. That the less they say, the more that is said about them, and more weird and wonderful things that they do.
You don't get them anymore, do you?
And
you don't actually. That's a good point.
He was the epitome of fame.
Yeah.
for
And why don't you get
generations.
them anymore?
Internet.
You think so?
Yeah, there's more exposure to people and what they get up to and paparazzi and
What,
stuff.
as in you're saying that's in a bad way, as is it's killed him, so to speak.
I think it's because the mystique of people makes people more famous.
Yeah. So Mick Jagger used to say to the Rolling Stones,
True.
don't do interviews. No one does interviews unless it's prearranged and we all agree on it. Because he believed in the mystique. Like, the less you say, the more they think you do.
Right, okay.
For a lot of years, it would be
You've
very
got to
controlled.
remember, the Stones, as did the Jacksons and Michael Jackson, they all started pre-internet, pre-mobile phones. Anything that you needed to know, you had to go to the library and get it. So everything was just so super interesting that they did. And the reason that Louis pointed out is that why people aren't that interested anymore, because their accessibility to information about these people is so easy.
You can see your favourite star, if you Google it, eating lasagna because
true.
someone's
Yeah.
photographed it
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
phone.
yeah.
Like, everyone with their camera phones, part of the paparazzi, they'll sell it to... no one's really secret anymore. No one's that private. But one before it's like, there's an exclusive interview with such and such. Or
I mean, I'm shit with dates. I'm crap with years, and I don't know what year it would be. But on the history tour when he went to Sheffield, Michael Jackson, I went to watch him at Don Valley at Sheffield, and still to this day, as an entertainment value, I still say that gig will never be beaten. The guy was just incredible. The show that he put on.
it's very good at what he did.
I think he won that. I mean, I'm probably looking at 96, 98. I don't know. I'm not very good with years, but I think it was around about that era. But he would just like, what am I watching here? This guy's unbelievable.
You're watching this like musical phenomenon on stage.
He really, no matter what people are saying about him, this guy is out of this world. He's on a different planet. The guy is unbelievable. What he did, what he could do, the show that he put on. The lighting, the things that were going on in background, the videos. It was just like, wow.
97.
97 was it? Would it be 97?
Do you know there's a new show in Sheffield about him?
Yeah, into that hologram thing.
Michael starring Ben, the magic of Michael Jackson.
What, they're bringing the rat back?
Well, oh, sorry.
The Rat Back or the Rat Pack?
The rat's going to start singing Michael Jackson songs.
Sorry, you missed it.
I was Michael Jackson's pet, but now look at me.
It was on 4th of December. Sorry, mate, you missed it.
But yeah, I used to like Jacko. I thought Jacko was good. Brilliant. Yeah, I did.
I think everybody likes a track by Michael Jackson.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Maybe
he-
a track
and he-
somewhere.
He was
You
paired
have to.
with a fantastic producer, Quincy Jones, who did some wonderful
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
I think there's the star, really.
Yeah, Quincy Jones. There's a great documentary on Netflix actually produced by his daughter about Quincy Jones's life.
Quincy Wincy.
Tinsy Wincy, Quincy Wincy. And that's worth a watch. It's quite a long documentary, but he's a very interesting guy. He's worked with some... he's just...
He's worked with some big people.
But he's really like the thing is with Michael Jackson wasn't a musician. He would leave Quincy Jones voice notes on an answer phone of like beatboxing and like melody ideas, and Quincy Jones would try and like translate
Of course,
this
he never
into...
played an instrument with Jackson's, did he?
No, he was just a singer. But he was a singer and a dancer, and he had obviously an abusive childhood, but he
A
couldn't...
song and dance man, really.
A song and dance man. But he couldn't play an instrument, so there lies the difference when people compare him to Prince, where Prince was multi-instrumental and he'd write his own songs. But
Well, I think we're verging into your territory now, aren't we? You're more of a Prince man than you are a Michael Jackson.
because of the craft,
The craft. Yes. I accept that.
I have a lot of time for Prince. And even though in the maybe 15 to 20 years before he died, he didn't really produce anything that I heard of good quality. Maybe guitar was pretty good, a catchy riff. I think one of Prince's issues is that he surrounded him by complete fans, and they were all yes men. And he was surrounded by so many yes
Well, he
men.
insisted on that, didn't he?
Yeah, and that's not good for creativity.
No, it's not.
Like, you need a wall to bounce off,
Yeah.
and a wall is the person saying, that's not very
that's
good.
Not working that, mate.
If everyone's saying yes, then you're just running around in a soft room and
Yeah.
saying, I'm wonderful. But
He said
but he was a very, very creative artist and very good at
He
what he
fetched
did.
in people that were very good at particular things, and he made friends with them and brought them into his inner circle, and so they felt honoured by that. And you can understand why his music progressed through that.
He was a
He fetched-
prolific artist. He was always recording something.
It's one of his mentors who came into his life, and he kept him quite close. It's Larry Graham, who was a bass player, and he developed the slap bass funk stuff back in early days. I think he played with Earth, Wind and Fire, and Prince grabbed hold of him and brought him into his inner circle. But he's an amazing bass player. Should check out some stuff on YouTube with Larry Graham doing some.
I think I've seen some stuff actually with him. He's like a
Typical-
tall, skinny guy.
Yeah.
But
with-
like
with
wears like an ivory white suit usually.
ivory white
Yeah.
suit, pimp hat on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen him.
But he's a fantastic bass player.
Very, very
Yeah.
creative bass player. And he brought him into his... And Larry Graham was his mentor. But once he'd done with that, he sort of dispatched Larry Graham. And that he got what he wanted, and that was it.
Well, I suppose that's what you would do. But yeah.
No, it's not what you do. No.
Yeah, you use them, you abuse them, and you send them on the way.
Yeah.
It's the hit and run.
Hit and run. No.
I'd be interested to rummage through his vault, though.
I see, that's it. You see, you don't make false friends. You make friends. You don't make you make friends.
Yeah, but we don't know what the music was like. Like when you work with somebody on a track.
It's a basic level of.
Well, yeah, but so it works both ways. If Prince says, "Jeff, I love the way that you play that one blues lick. Come over, and we'll lay some tracks down."
Yeah.
And then you've laid that track down, and he's like, "Okay, cool. I'll see you later."
I don't want to go on holiday with
I'll
him.
see you later, Jeff. And you're like, "Hey, I've got my speedos. Let's go on holiday."
No.
And it's like, "No, Jeff.
I don't want to go on holiday with him.
Look.
But I don't want to be done by him.
Look, I'm done with you now. Just go back." And you're like, "Hey, I got some crumpets.
I thought you loved me.
Don't you want some crumpets? I can cook you some sausage."
Alrighty then. So we've had your first concert. So what would be your first concert, Louis?
My first concert, like legitimate concert, was I was 15 and it was at Sheffield Arena, and it was to see the Stereophonics performing Just Enough Education to Perform. So Mr. Writer, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they were supported by Feeder.
Right.
And it was the Stereophonics lineup with the original drummer before he died.
Right.
And I think a member of Feeder died just after that as well. So
We
yeah.
mentioned earlier, previous drummer of theirs. Well, I did. Steve Gorman, who played for Black Crows. He did some stuff for Stereophonics, yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah. He did. I think he did one tour, maybe 2 tours with them. Anyway, sorry. It just came to my mind then.
Yeah. I think do you know, I can't remember my first concert. I don't know if it was House Martins
House Martins?
or Blur.
What, Blur? How?
I can't remember which one it was.
I didn't know you'd seen Blur.
Yeah, I went to see Blur, yeah. They were very good, actually. They were good. Really good. I really enjoyed them.
Where did you see them then?
Sheffield. Went to watch Sheffield. I can't remember which one come first. If it were Blur, I actually think it would have been House Martins. I think it would have been House Martins, then Blur. Then I went on me binge run of Beautiful South. But I think it would have been House Martins.
No, because I didn't know that you'd seen Blur. Because I'm trying to put it in as some sort of like, which came first, chicken or egg? And they were both about the same time, so I can't really say which you might have seen before other.
Yeah, I think House Martins were about 2 years just before Blur. I think, or a year before, something like that. There wasn't a lot between them.
What were Blur doing at the time? Can you remember any tracks from concerts?
Yeah, Changing Man and all the big, the typical stuff.
It were all the hit stuff at that time.
Yeah.
All the stuff they're famous for.
Yeah, they did all that stuff. It was when Damon Albarn were doing, it was all in papers about him doing the stage diving.
Right.
When
Would be
when he
what
would
year
do
would that
that.
be?
I would have said that would have been round about early 90s, late 80s, something round about there.
That is early on then, isn't it? That's before they really went into their Britpop sound then. I saw Blur at 2009 at Glastonbury, and they were surprisingly pretty good.
But when I went to see Blur, I went with my mate, and we were both Blur fans, but he were a big Blur fan. I mean, I liked him.
How blurred were he?
Oh, he were Blur.
So were you Blur rather than Oasis then?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you had to be in one camp or the other.
Yeah, you were. You were either A or B, weren't you? And I were always Blur, just because I don't particularly like, and I still don't particularly like Oasis now. I like the tracks, but I don't like the band.
Well, it's an easy line to draw. Well, it's not an easy line to draw. That's wrong, though, because you have to separate the person or the band from the music, don't you? A lot of times.
Yes, yeah, you do. Yeah, we had Blur. I didn't mind none of the band. I thought they were all right. They weren't arseholes like Oasis were.
My only issue with that is that they weren't genuine. I mean, so they were trying to. So they had this thing in the early 90s where they tried to be like the Stone Roses, and there's like it's sort of like there's no other way.
Did the Stone Roses come on from Blur?
No. They're this like Stone Roses thing, like there's no other way, and then suddenly they wanted to reinvent like the Kinks image, so they went for this like London Cockney pop.
So what year would Stone Roses be then? I thought Stone Roses were after Blur.
No, they were like before. Whereas, so then Britpop became about working class, but Blur were like art college kids.
Well, then Blur went into Gorillaz, didn't they?
Well, Damon Albarn did.
Damon Albarn did anyway.
But the thing...
But didn't he just look like 2 years without actually admitting he was Gorillaz, wasn't it? It were a big thing.
It was at the
into-
time, yeah.
Who are they? Because they were cartoons, weren't they?
Yeah, I went to see
didn't
an exhibition
gig
where
from
the
first
artist
bit.
who created the images for him. So the guitar, if you look at the Gorillaz, the guitar player for the Gorillaz, or is the bass player, he's based around Keith Richards in the 60s
Right. Okay.
with the rotten teeth and the dodgy haircut. That's what he's based around.
Well, after doing a bit of extensive research for the last 2 weeks, it would appear that Stone Roses were before Blur.
Mm-hmm.
So when were they out then? I thought they came after Blur.
They were formed in '88, Blur,
Yeah.
and the Stone Roses.
Wow. Were they?
Here's a question for you. When was Pulp formed?
I'm shy at years. I don't know. I'm
Pick a number, any number.
10.
Well, just to finish my sentence,
All
the
right.
Stone Roses.
Well, sorry, you left a big gap. I had to fill it.
The Stone Roses were.
We thought you'd done enough.
No, I had actually. The Stone Roses were established in '83.
All right, okay.
Wow.
That's a big gap.
Yeah.
That's a big gap.
So,
That's early.
Yeah.
I want to put them in early 80s.
Well,
Nowhere
according to the all things that are Spotify,
Google.
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. If I had actually guessed when they started, I'd have gone.
I'd have gone a bit later. I've got to be honest.
I'd have gone no earlier than 88.
Yeah, I'd have gone a bit earlier. But according to all sources, it's 83.
Wow.
okay, so tell me this. When did Pulp form then?
Paul.
Ooh, I'm going to say about the same time.
1983.
Yeah.
No. If I'd have gone round about 92-ish.
1979.
78.
78.
Yeah, really early that, isn't it?
Wow. 7 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, been going a long time.
78.
I know it can be slightly misleading, Wikipedia,
I'm sure it's 79.
but it's saying 78 here, but I will go with 79.
I'd say it's 79.
All right, say it.
79.
There we go. Through my voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been going a long time before they made it. But so back to the point about Blur being an art rock band, which I've got no problem with. But Oasis were from a council estate in Manchester with Irish parents, and and they had no musical. In many ways, they were like the Beatles. Beatles come from a rough part of Liverpool. No musical history.
Is it not a rough part of Liverpool?
Well, exactly. It's not at that time. Was no rough part of Manchester.
Just Liverpool would have done.
So it's that thing
But
about
Lennon wasn't all the working class hero that he made out to be, though.
John
was
Lennon.
Hmm.
But I don't think he had it easy. His mum died when he was young, and
He wasn't the working class hero he made out to be. And
What was he then?
And Paul McCartney was going to go on to be a teacher.
yeah, he wants to be a teacher. That's not necessarily being affluent. He still does.
Oh
teach.
no, nothing about being affluent, but they're not necessarily running about.
Well,
but
he wanted to be a teacher, but he lived in a little terrace house.
that's what he was going to do. If he didn't work out in the music business, that's what he was going to do. So he always had the capability to do it.
Are you saying that this is a? I don't.
What I'm saying is that he had the capability to be what he wanted to be. He didn't necessarily have to hang his hat on being a music superstar.
Right.
While you're on this thing of Beatles, you're a big Beatles fan. So something's just sprung into my head that, because you two were talking about Beatles there, and I've just thought about something that I heard this week, that wasn't the Beatles originally formed in Ireland?
No.
What was something to do with
Oh, I know
Beatles
what you're
and
thinking
Ireland?
about. I'll tell you. That's you too.
No, it was something to do with Beatles. They were originally formed, or is 2 of them or 3 of them actually from Ireland, not Liverpool? Something like that.
Westlife.
Or this is news to
No,
me.
I'm trying to think where I heard this or
don't
read
know.
it.
There
or
might be
let me have
some relatives within the
There was
Beatles
something-
families that came from, and it's not that far away from where Liverpool is. But so yeah, you could see that happening. But
I'm trying to
no,
think.
they're all Liverpool people.
I'm trying to think
They're all
where I-
Merseyside people.
I'm trying to think where I heard it or I read it. But
I know
definitely-
that one of the differences that from the
Let me have a
Beatles
look
and the
on
Stones is that
Google.
Beatles received a different side of America, side of American music. Like they received like the more of the pop stuff because of the Docs, and the and the Rolling Stones got like the blues stuff because of something else. Like geographically, it was where they received their music, which was distributed to record stores.
A lot of music was coming in through Dogs in Liverpool, and people were getting it
But the point is that the records that were available in London were different to the ones that you could get in
They
Liverpool.
were, yeah, because of the docks, because some of the merchant ships were bringing in music what they were accessing in America, and they were just like, oh yeah, I've got, yeah. It weren't like this sacred piece of stuff that it is now. These early cuts of different people in America, and they were just like bringing it over. But they didn't have the docks in Liverpool, in middle of London, like they do in Liverpool. So the access was like through hearsay, people bringing albums into the country, music shops and things like that.
I bet it was very exciting in like that very like naive way, like you had no concept of who's big or who's not. You're just like, oh, this is a nice song.
It for what it were.
And you're collecting them and you're trying to like it's like almost like music's like a new trend at the time.
There's all these stories about these people of that time that they go over because they've heard that somebody over in Clapham has got a copy of a Muddy Waters album.
Yeah.
And so they go over and try and find this. They've got an address, and they go over to this address and knock on the door, and they wait until this person arrived, and they say, "Oh, apparently you've got a copy of."
Well, it's that famous story about how Mick and Keith
how they met,
and it's because Mick was holding a Muddy Waters album.
With the two.
And Keith was like, "Whoa, you like Muddy Waters?" And that's what Rolling Stones named after. It's a Muddy Waters song.
Weren't the two albums he were carrying?
Yeah, he was carrying a couple of stuff. Maybe it was like Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters, or
I think
it were two Muddy Waters albums, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think one was a Muddy Waters.
I thought it were two Muddy Waters albums.
And the other one was a I can't think of his name. Johnny Be Good.
Oh, Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry.
That's because Keith really liked Chuck Berry.
Could be wrong, actually. But could be right.
So to elaborate on the Beatles thing.
Sorry?
So to elaborate on the Beatles thing.
Go on then.
So the Beatles are from Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yes.
But John's grandfather was born in County Durham. His grandmother is from a mayor in County Tyrone. Paul McCartney, his family are from County Monaghan. And his grandmother is from Oymahone in Tullinamalu, which are all Irish. So their ancestors are Irish. And apparently they're from a part of Liverpool which is known as the real capital of Ireland. And on a tour in Ireland, John Lennon declared, "We are all Irish, aren't we?" And that's where I must have heard it.
I mean, John Lennon said a lot of things.
Well, yeah, he did. Like, I'm going to stay in bed for 2 weeks unless you stop Vietnam War.
He almost did it too.
Yeah, but he needed a piss.
And the two
So that's where I've got the Irish bit from. And I can't...
good bit of research there. We give points for that.
How many points is that then?
I can't remember where I heard it from.
1.5, Wayne, well done.
I think it was my mate, old SC.
Oh?
Or Coops, as I like to call him, or S, or C.
SC Coops.
From Coldplay?
No.
Ooh.
Who do I listen to in the morning? Gives me all my information.
Sorry, AC.
Yes.
AC?
Yes.
Or shall I, as I like to call him, VF?
Well, I call him now. I'm that well in with him. I just call him
I have no idea what you two are talking about.
He's calling him Vincent. He's calling him Alice Cooper, and I'm calling him Vincent Fernier.
Oh,
so
right,
I listen to Planet Rock on my work in morning, and Alice Cooper is the DJ in the morning.
Right.
The two albums that Mick Jagger were carrying are "Rocking at the Hop" by Chuck Berry and "Muddy Waters," and the best of Muddy Waters.
Oh, I always thought it were two Muddy Waters albums.
But yeah, it's one of those iconic stories. So, this episode has not really had much of a context. It started off with what can you remember, and as ever, things have gone down a long and winding road.
I get what you did. Yes. Yeah, I get what you did there.
Yes.
Yes.
Until next time, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.